right is Mario from Rome, Italy.
Hello.
Explain to who you are and why you're here.
I'm a journalist and a historian, and I'm doing research on sports events during the war in Europe, of which Willie Steele was part of and competed in and won two competitions in high jump and long jump.
Okay. And to my left is Richard.
And I'm Richard Esparza. I live in Escondido. I'm a retired museum director. And my uncle Bill Sloan competed in the same events for swimming in the 1944 Allied Games. So that's what's brought us all together.
What did he actually told you, even if it was just a little bit about his work?
He told me about his experience in Italy. But looking at the people and how desolate everything was for them at the time, and how poor things were, and that's about all he talked about. But he didn't talk about the war,
where he was, what he did.
No.
And not even that he competed in this games.
No, I didn't even know that.
Well, see, nobody in the Sloan family knew it either.
Yeah.
My uncle it was only in 2003 I found the reference, the little note I wrote on my computer. I sent you a copy of it. That he said that he'd taken the silver medal in the 1944 Olympics.
Wow.
And I kept going back to him. Every time I saw him after that, I said, well, do you have any kind of paperwork, any kind of orders? And I said, well, what did they call this? Because I had gone to the U.S. War College, Army War College, looking for the event, and there's no record of it there. They sent me every athletic event from 1925 until 1955, and there's no mention of anything.
Were you in the service?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, the service is a funny animal.
So to say.
Okay, they do things, but they don't say things. Is that?
It makes sense.
Can I put it that way? And because
don't ask, don't tell.
Right? Oh yeah, there you go. and what they might have been doing something that they shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah.
And if you have it's really funny if you get in the wrong outfit. And I was a cook. So when I came back from Vietnam, I was stationed at El Toro. I was playing softball. I wanted to get involved in that kind of stuff. But the mess sergeant that I had at El Toro didn't like the fact that I was playing softball. So what did he do? He transferred me, because I was TAY, I was temporary assignment there, okay? So he transferred me back down to main side, and he didn't realize that as soon as I got there, I ended up playing 8-man football. Captain came and said, "You play football?" I said, "Yeah, I do." So see, sometimes you have to take what goes along, because I got promoted. And everything like that. But the service, if you hit the right kind of guy that's in charge, and you do the right thing, you can make it on the way down the line. And when I got in, I didn't realize this until I got into the service. I got out of boot camp. So I got out of boot camp. I made PFC. Then I reported to my duty station, and they sent me to. I made PFC out of boot camp. I made Lance Corporal out of ITR infantry training. Then I made I made Corporal out of food service. I went to food service school, and so I came in third in the whole thing. But what I didn't realize, I kept saying, how did I do this? But when I remember when I was in Chow Hall, and when a master sergeant came through, he says, "I want you to fix me some sandwiches, and my bunker's over here, and I want you to put them underneath my bunk." And I'm thinking, well, I'm not supposed to do that, but this is the master sergeant. I'm a lance corporal, so I did that. But I didn't realize he was in charge. Guess who he was in charge of?
Yes.
The office folks.
Oh.
So he's the one that, he would say, "My guys are working late, can you fix it?" I said, "No problem." Okay, those are the guys that said, "Hey, you get promoted."
Yeah.
And
I have to go to a funeral.
Okay.
That's why I'm dressed like this.
right.
Okay, thank you,
Are
bro.
you coming back, or may I perhaps have your email address?
Yeah.
And then, so that,
Yeah, it's Mark. Oh, can you hear it down?
Yeah, right.
Right down, yes,
Yeah.
that's better.
Yeah.
So I can, if I have something else, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
because I want to
forward to you
Yeah.
if you don't mind, of course.
No, of course.
I
Yeah.
mean, if the lady doesn't mind.
Oh, she don't mind. She's part of this whole thing.
Lots of names. So.
Yeah.
That's right.
She's the one that told me about the Hall of Fame. And she said, call me up and said, your dad's getting inducted to the Hall of Fame.
And you have an email?
Email.
Yeah.
Then we can send you the documents.
Yeah.
The storyline is that I was doing track and field, USA track and field. I didn't know what I was doing, and I saw this article talking about the Hall of Fame. So online, I clicked on the link, and it had a list of who was being inducted, and that's how I knew it was Willie Steele being inducted. And the USA track and field led the red carpet out for us. They did a really good job of accepting us.
The whole family, daughters and ex-wife, we went. It was a good experience, a good family experience.
Yeah. Of course, he got emotional at the meeting.
Yeah,
And my older daughter had to take over. She was prepared.
My wife, and we see each other. She loves my current wife very much, and the kids go back and forth, and it's all one big family.
And there's a reason why I never got remarried, and the reason it would be obvious is that when you get remarried, you get people over here, people over there, and all around there, and you lose focus of the family, and that's what happened to my family. I mean, I have.
Did it?
Huh?
Did it?
Yes, I mean, because you have Steels and Steels. Okay, Steels that are blood Steels and Steels that are not. You see, and you don't really. I mean, I didn't. I'm saying these are my uncles, but you got people that are very small.
But also in your immediate family. I mean, your father and mother had issues. You were as a kid.
I was an only child.
You were the only.
Only child. They got married. They got divorced when I was 15. And the family that I grew up in is my mother's side of the family. My Uncle Alton and his you remember Alton Jr. King? Well, see, I've known him for 71 years.
So you were named after that uncle. Then.
Yeah, I was named after his uncle. Then he named his second son after himself. So it was three of us living in the same house. I was called Steele. He was called Junior, and we called Uncle Alton Alton.
So you were living with your mother's family.
My mother's family. I was raised with them. I stayed with them until I was 20. I went to City College, and then I went to Tuskegee. Then I came back, and my plan was I had a plan. I could go to college for 2 years. Then I would go ahead and because it was the draft, so I enlisted instead of getting drafted. Because see, my father got drafted.
Yeah,
and it really messed up this whole kind of thing.
Right. So he was drafted. You said 1942.
He got drafted. Yeah, because
and the 43.
Because
he competed in 1942 somewhere in the
yes. No. We'll see. He was born in 23, so he competed in high school, senior year in high school. It would make him what? What year would that make him?
Maybe 16, probably.
17. He was 18 when he graduated. He was 18 graduated.
23 plus 33, 39.
My father was born in
1936.
Huh?
39.
No.
He was born in 23.
And he graduated
in 43. He was
20. Yeah. That's when he met my mother.
Okay.
So 42, 41.
Okay.
And he would have been 18.
Okay.
Right? And so what happened was he came in second place because I didn't know he even went to San Jose State until he passed away.
Oh.
Okay.
So you read it on the obit?
No, because they inducted him into the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
And I was saying, and they had a bus, and the lady that was taking care of him, and she said she wanted, so I gave it to her. And I said, wow, he's in the Hall of Fame in San Jose State in football,
Yeah, San Diego State.
No. I don't
San
know.
Jose.
I don't know nothing about San Jose. I know this for a fact.
Yeah.
San Jose State football and track Hall of Fame.
Okay.
He's in the Hall of Fame. If you look it up, he's in the Hall of Fame there.
Okay.
I don't even know if does San Diego State have a Hall of Fame?
I don't know, but
I
know in these early articles they talk about him being a student at San Diego State.
He was a student at San Diego State after he came back from the war.
After he came back from the war, before he went to the Olympics.
Yes.
Before he went to the
Okay.
Yeah.
This is chronology. High school, he goes to San Jose State scholarship. To San Jose State. He didn't go to San Diego State. He went to San Jose. Listen to what I'm saying now. He was in the Hall of Fame in track and football at San Jose State. He got drafted from San Jose State. Went to Camp Roberts. Okay. Then from there, that's how his okay, going from there. Okay.
And so that means that if he was drafted at the end of 42, let's say, he went on to serve 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Long time.
That's quite a long time.
It was World War II.
Yes, but always overseas, or was he stateside at one point?
He started out stateside, then he went overseas. Because I was born in Buffalo in 44, so he couldn't have been there. You see what I'm saying?
I get it. Yeah. So then he participated. You say, and
That's what I read somewhere, that he was in the Anzio Beachhead.
Mm-hmm.
You know that.
And he was. I know he was in North Africa.
Yes, and then they moved them.
Yeah.
To because
he moved. He went from there to Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in Italy, the Allies were coming from the south to the north, and the Germans and fascists were up in the center of Italy and the north.
Right.
And so you may have read about the Casino battle.
Okay.
And they this very, very strong German defense line, and they tried to get around it.
Rommel.
They built this beachhead
Yeah.
north of the line and south of Rome,
Uh-huh.
but they were stuck there. And I understand that. Some of the articles I've read about your father that were written after the war mentioned the fact that he was in the Anzio beachhead.
Right.
So he may have been. This is just my hunch. There's no evidence of it, but that he may have been part of the quartermaster regiments.
He was in the Buffalo Soldiers.
The Buffalo Soldiers arrived in Italy in September 44.
Okay.
So later.
Okay.
So since
but I know he was an artillery guy.
He was an artillery guy.
Yeah, because Fort Roberts, that's what he was trained at Fort Roberts. And Fort Roberts is artillery.
Yeah, are they?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that's all. That's the only thing I can put together. Because Fort Roberts is on. That's what they do, the big guns, 055s and stuff like that.
Do you think you or your family may...
Nobody.
No. I may ask for Willie Steele's personal file, military file.
His military file.
Well, you could. I could.
You have to. I've checked because I want to get my Uncle Bill's, and there's a form I have to download off the internet and have one of my cousins sign it because I'm not his immediate family.
Well, you send me the form, I can send it out because Mike's wife will help me.
Yeah,
you get it done.
I could do that.
But
because it'd be interesting to see his actual service record.
Right.
Because he was competing while he was serving. That's the story for me.
Okay.
Because this is where that is strange. In the middle of the war, of a major world war.
Yeah, but he, like I said, Willie didn't talk.
Yeah, either did my Uncle Bill.
Yeah, so that, and like I said,
none of those guys.
They didn't talk.
Yeah,
even and the ironic thing is from the age of 15 to 20, I saw Willie twice.
Oh,
then from the age of my adult life, I think I only saw him 5 times.
Oh,
so it was not that we.
How goes life? Yeah.
He and my mother. You got to remember, she was 16.
Very young.
He was 20
when
they got married, and then.
And they married in Alabama.
they married in Alabama, and then he went where he went in service. Okay, but you got to remember, and this is about life. People sometimes are not meant to be together. Like my ex-wife and I, we lasted 17 years, but we were not meant to. You know, time was up. Time was up. You had to go. But I was my mother raised me. My mother was an acute schizophrenic. Yes. And my mother tried to kill me when I was 15 years old.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, with a knife. So that's how I get to live with my uncle. And this is what I had to share with Willie because she was very aggressive, and she did. You know, I used to fly from down here to go up there to go to meetings with the strength. But the strength told me, she said, "How far do you live?" I said, "I live in Southern Carolina." She said, "That's not far enough." And my mother, we had episodes, and one of the things that I did when I learned, and I know when I came back from Vietnam, the first place I went was to my dad's house. Yeah. I met him, and then the next morning
in Oakland.
And the next morning, my mother knocked on the door and cut the pants off my legs.
Oh my goodness!
So,
but that must have been an experience for a son. I mean,
but the thing that I had to do is I had to separate myself from my aunt and all my cousins, because what I realized in 30 years, I didn't have anything intimate to do with them because I didn't want to trigger my mother. My mother was always, that would be a trigger for her.
Mm-hmm.
So
if she saw you in
or
that
if
environment,
if she knew I was seeing them or whatever. But I kept contact with my aunt. She wasn't going to stop me from doing that with my aunt. But she that day she broke windows and stuff like that at her house. Mm-hmm. So I made a decision, a life decision. But then later on in her life, we did have a better relationship until she passed away.
With your mother?
Yeah, as long as she stayed on her medication, everything was fine. But she was a good mother. She raised me, and she did. Both my parents taught me well and took good care of me. And life is not a bed of roses.
Yeah.
And
well, I can't imagine during wartime with her husband out overseas and with this small child, and 17, she was so young.
She's 17 years old when I was born. Mm-hmm. She graduated. I just now figured this out. Her birthday was March the 12th. Okay, so she graduated from high school. She just turned 16 in March. Okay, she turned 16. She met my dad in June. In June, they got married in July, and then the next following March, she turned 17 and 12, and on the 22nd, I'm born.
And your dad's off in the army.
Yeah.
Right in the war.
Okay, so but she took it. My mother took good care of me. Okay, and I was the only child, and
So they got married in 1943, of course. If you were born in 1944. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I see. Well, man, what a life.
Okay, but my aunt, when my mother passed, I think was it my mother that passed away? My dad passed away first, but then when my mother passed away, my aunt told me, she said, "Son," she said, "You're an amazing human being to end up like you have with all the things that you've gone through." And that was very kind for me to hear that from my aunt, because I was full grown when I was 8 years old. I mean, I was earning my own. I had my mother made me independent. I was 7 years old. You know what 33rd Imperial is, right?
Yes.
That's where we lived, off right there. And she said, one day she said to me, she said, "Baby, what's the matter?" I said, "Well, the big kids are nobody to play with." She said, "What do you want to do?" "I want to go to the movies." So she took me across the street, Imperial, told me how to go, to what bus to catch, what bus. You call me when you got there, and tell me when you got there, and then from then on, I was able to catch the bus, go to the zoo, go to the movies anytime I wanted to go. I was 7 years old, man.
Wow.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder nowadays if
Oh
any
no,
mother
no.
would ever, of course.
Oh man, my children.
Yeah.
No, even when my children were going right over here in Orange County. No.
Now then I tell you something personal in this respect. I have two sons.
Mhm.
One is now 44, the other one is pushing 40. Now I'm talking about the youngest one. He was 5. Yes, 5 more or less. And he wanted to be independent, of course. And so my wife, he said, well, I can go and fetch some milk from the shop. And my wife said, well, okay, you know how to do it? You just turn the corner, go straight, and then turn the corner again, then there's the shop, you get the milk and come back. And so out he went, but my wife was, following him from, afar, just to check that everything was fine. Everything went fine.
Yeah.
Did it? You made it. You did it.
Got it. This
Good for you.
milk, came back home, and was very proud of this thing. And then, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, he was a grown-up man.
Mhm.
Sylvia, my wife, told him that she was following him that day.
Mm.
And he was mad.
Oh, my.
I mean, you didn't trust me? You were fine.
Not in 5 years
Yeah,
old.
they don't understand the world. They don't understand.
But he was like more older than 30, and he just discovered that when he was 5 years old, he had been followed by his mother when he went fetching some milk.
Yeah.
He was in sex.
Anyway, so it's
No, and like I said, I couldn't raise kids today. I could not raise kids today because the outside forces are too strong. They don't listen to what's inside. They listen to the things that are outside.
Yeah.
See, I taught for 39 years. County Department of Education. I ran a self-contained classroom, and I said it in my last podcast, and I said what the day I was going to retire is when I realized that I could not relate to the children anymore, and I had was one girl came through. She was 15. She came to school late, and I asked her, well, "How are you late?" She says, "Well, I spent the night in my boyfriend's house." I said, "Oh, okay. Did your parents know you did that?" "Oh yeah, my dad knows that." So how old was your boyfriend? 25.
Oh, really?
And I'm thinking, your
boyfriend.
your boyfriend,
Man friend.
your boyfriend is 25. And I said, okay, but she was not following directions, and I said, send her to the principal's office. I said, I'm sending her. Well, Vern says I can do this and I can do that. And when anytime a child says the principal's name by first name, I said, no. I said, you go sit in Vern's office. You deal with Vern. Then I said to myself, now it's time for me to get out. I can retire now. I'm 71 years old. And
You're difficulty in relating with the new.
Well, there's no boundaries. They grow up. They become grown, but they don't know how they got there. They want the accoutrement that goes with being an adult, but they don't understand. In order to be an adult, you have to go through some process. You have to go through some processes. Training.
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, even though I was independent, okay, I had boundaries. Okay, there's certain things that we knew that we had to be in the weekends. We had to be in the house by 2:00 in the morning. And if you went out and you got drunk on Saturday night, you were still going to go to church on Sunday. Okay, I mean there was no ifs, ands, and there was that's what you.
There were rules. Yeah, no, I grew up like that.
Yeah. And so and we still like I was telling my cousin, we was talking about he retired from the United Airlines. He was an executive, and we still until I retired, I used to wake up every morning at 4:30. That's the way I did. and that's what we were trained. Because on the weekends, my uncle was a general contractor, and Saturday morning he'd run through the young bucks hit the floor, and we get up, make our lunches, and get in the back of the thing, and he would take us all over the Bay Area because we did roofing, we we did foundation, we did sheetrock, we did framing, we did plumbing, and that's what we did. I remember, I never forget the day we were supposed to get 50 cents an hour back in those days, right?
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, Uncle Alton, when you gonna pay me? He said, pay you? I said, I put a roof over your head, I put food in your belly, I put clothes on your back. What do you mean pay you? I said, okay. Shit.
And all that I did a lot of hard physical labor growing up, and it really pays off later.
Oh yeah, and I mean, it didn't. And I had my own when I was going to Cal Poly. I had my own janitorial business until '89 when my father passed away. That's when I stopped. Okay, I had a son and a granddaughter. My son, he wasn't interested. None of my children were interested in doing it, and so I let it go. I couldn't do it.
I see. Well, it was very interesting. Let me. I don't know whether there's something that I might know that you want to know. I don't know. About this Rome events.
Okay, what I would like to know is if you have any written material about the 44.
All right, we have some articles.
Okay.
Stars and Stripes, the US Army, and of course they have let's say an Italy edition in 1944, and there are a number of articles that were written as
that would be nice.
Reports.
That would be nice to put into the archives.
Right, and I can send. I have copies. I can send you to the.
You send it to Richard and Richard.
To Richard. Yeah. Well, but I can send you. I can send them via email.
Okay. To Brenda.
What's her name? Brenda.
Yeah. Send it to her.
McLean 1212.
Yeah, you can send it to her.
SBC Global. Okay.
Yeah,
because it's easier for us.
Okay, whatever's easy.
Well, the problem was that one San Diego article. I couldn't figure out how to make my printer print the whole thing. So it cut off the bottom section, which I wanted you to see because it had your name on it.
No, but I already seen it. I saw it. When I say this, I'm on the other end of it.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm on the other end.
And
just down there, and I'm over here.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. And so I will certainly send you over either. No, of course, Richard will have everything, but. If it's possible, I can use this email address so that I can send. Now, really, what I'm interested in right now, as I don't know, probably Richard explained to you my idea. It's not really. It's a project, but it's still not an actual something that it will be done. I'm researching the subject. Okay, right. So it could be as a short essay, let's say, all right, because I will put together the events in Rome in 1944, because of course 1944 was supposed to be an Olympic year,
right?
Because they go by force, right?
Should have been 40, 44, 48.
Exactly.
Okay, 40, but 40.
So the last Olympics were the 36 ones, the one in Berlin.
That's when the
Hitler
Olympics. Then they invaded everybody, and then the war was going on over there.
The 1940 Olympics were awarded to Tokyo.
Yeah.
But then the Japanese invaded China, and so they moved it.
Yeah, then they invaded
to Finland, but then they went. The war broke out all over the world. Then 1944 were Rome competed for them, but they were awarded to London.
London in 48.
No, the 1944 games
should have been in London.
Should have been in London. That's why 4 years later they went back to London, right? Yeah. But the Mussolini built all those stadiums, etc., because of the Olympics. When the Americans came into Rome, that was beginning of June 1944. So you were like 3 months old by that time, and Germans retreated north, and they occupied the city, and 2 weeks later. I mean, 2 weeks later.
Mhm.
So there was
This is an amazing fact.
This is one thing I discovered. So I'm very proud of this bit of news. So the Allied forces got into the city on June the 4th,
Mhm.
and the city was occupied, definitely totally occupied on June the 5th. And then they continued pushing up north. But
Because
the city
then-
was being
Then
organized.
June the 6th was D-Day.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I mean, so that's one of the reasons why the Italian campaign operations were kind of overshadowed by what was happening, of course, in Normandy, etc.
Yeah.
So they pushed up north and they began organizing the civil administration of the occupied territories. Meanwhile, just 2 weeks later, on June the 17th, they organized the trials, the field and track trials for the Fifth Army. The Fifth Army was the U.S. Army in Italy, in the Mediterranean theater of operation, and all the while in Algiers or elsewhere.
That's North Africa, right?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
North
right.
Africa.
Yeah.
You know, in all different places, they have different games, and then the three better results in each event were
Go to Rome.
would go to Rome.
Okay.
For the actual big event that was held a month later in mid-July. So all the while the war was raging in France because there had been the invasion of Normandy, and in Italy because they were pushing north from the south.
Yeah.
All the while they were fighting a war. They were fighting a war, but then there were athletes from different units
all over
from all over the Mediterranean theater operations.
All the allies.
Yes, all the allies. And they did not compete by nation, mind you.
No.
By individual,
No, by district zone.
Oh, okay.
So they had the Fifth Army, the Fifth Army athletes, and then they had the North Africa district zone,
right,
and the Algiers, Tunis, and so they would have French athletes as well as probably Americans who were stationed there,
right,
and then there were the Atlantic district zone, which is where Richard's uncle was stationed in an air naval bases there, and so they had jerseys with the logo, like AZ, Atlantic District, AZ, Atlantic District Zone, and so on. So they competed by zones.
Okay.
And so there was another name, I don't remember exactly what was the name, I have it in my notes. The units that were in Naples was different zone. So it was like that. And it was quite interesting, and they had jerseys made with the name of their team. No, not of the unit, of the team, the athletic team of the zone. And so it was interesting, and
all that's written up in the Stars and Stripes, correct?
Yeah. And in that other article I sent you, the Yank magazine.
I sent you a copy of that, but he has the whole thing entirely online, so he'll send you that.
Okay, send it to you.
Sure.
So you can.
And Willie Steele competed in the. Well, of course, he won the broad jump, as they said.
It was called the running broad jump. That's what it was called.
And in the high jump as well. He won the event high jump, and he competed and got to the finals of the I don't know how many meters hurdle.
Okay.
But he managed to get to the finals there. So he competed in 3 events. And then we don't know anything about his. What I would love to understand what was his actual military service all the while, because he was competing, he was doing what he was trained to do as a civilian. But all the while he was in the army.
Yeah, he was in the army.
And in my uncle's case, he was sent from working on these airplanes in North Africa. I think it was Morocco. Could have been Algiers. I'm not sure. I'm going to get his service record because I'd like to know.
Oh, you send me the form, I'll get
Okay, and then, but then he got orders to go to Rome, so he went to Rome. He was there 3 months swimming. He said he couldn't believe it. He said it was hotter than heck. and so in North Africa, and also he's in this air-conditioned stadium swimming.
Well, that's believe me, that's what they do. Okay, if you
That's what you're told us. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was trying to. I was a guy that I played football against in junior college who was in the Marine Corps. He was playing down at MCRD, and I saw him and I said, "How'd you get there?" He said, "He was a big guy. His name was Nick Napoli, and he played at San Mateo City College, and I just didn't get orders there. I wasn't a big name guy, okay, but that was all right. But in the end, on the back end, I was okay. I ended up playing 8-man football and stuff like that. So I got
So this is part of the story. But then in the same weeks, at the summer of 1944, in Switzerland, which was a neutral country, so there was no fighting going on there. But it's also in Lausanne, it's the headquarters of the International Olympic Committee. All right, so they held 1944 was also the 50th anniversary of the modern Olympic Games.
Okay.
And so they held a very important celebration of the Olympics in Switzerland, mostly by Swiss people, but also, of course, Germans would come. The only Olympic Committee, International Olympic Committee member attending the celebration, other than the Swiss one, was the German one.
right.
Really?
They occupied.
Well, not Switzerland.
They occupied.
Well, half of Europe.
Yeah.
Or maybe more.
Yeah.
And in the days after the celebration, the official celebration of the 50th anniversary, they held games where the participants were military internees from different countries, like French, Italian, because people would fly, internees in Switzerland.
They were in Switzerland.
Yes, they were in Switzerland. Like POWs would fled a POW camp in northern Italy, would cross the border, and so a neutral country, by international law, is obliged to take them in, but have to keep them interned in order not to go back fighting. Okay, because it's a measure of neutrality of the country. Okay. So they had French and Belgian soldiers who came in after in 1940. The Germans occupied France and Belgium. They had Polish who came after 1939 when the Germans invaded Poland. They had Italians who fled northern Italy after Mussolini was taken down, then was liberated by Hitler, and so they had this incredible international internese population, and they were enemies. They were still enemies because Italians, of course, were still enemies with some Americans, not many, but there were airmen.
Yeah.
Were even
you guys got shut down.
Exactly. So there were,
there
could be American airmen and Italian soldiers competing in the same games
as Switzerland. In Lausanne.
Yeah.
And then there's a third component.
And that is a third component. Again, the same weeks up north in what was then Eastern Germany. There was a prisoner of war camp full of Polish prisoners. And those Polish prisoners organized their own Olympics. So there are three different
fronts,
different sports fronts in the thick of war.
The thick of war, pretty concurrently.
They're
amazing.
Competing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So what I was telling you is, I'm trying to flesh out, like in the case of Uncle Bill Sloan and the case of Willie Steele. Who was, of course, if I may, much more,
much more prominent sportsman.
Of course.
Than my Uncle Bill.
And I'm trying to flesh out characters in this story because I can go in the archives and I can get results,
The dates,
times, and dates, and whatever. And if you manage to get your father's service record, it would help us, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But these are just data.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I'm trying to get is the feeling of people who were there.
Who were these people?
Yeah.
Who were these people? What was the life? And something I got from you, which is very interesting. But the more I can get.
Well, Willie, I can say this: Willie was quiet. He's a quiet kind of guy, and he didn't talk a lot. But he gave me good advice in my life. I remember the best advice he ever gave me was when I was getting divorced. And I said to him, I said, I'm coming home. And he says, no, you're not. And he said, you keep your book there and take care of your children. That's what you do. And he says, leave the woman alone and don't talk to your brother-in-laws because that's your sister, and go on about your business. And that's what I did. That's the best advice I can get in life. And what it made me focus on my children, not my ex-wife. Okay.
Which makes sense.
Okay. And he was a practical guy. He was a Phi Beta Kappa. Okay, he was a Phi Beta Kappa. He was at San Diego State. And it's just that he was very, very bright and intelligent human being. But my mother was like an anchor going forward. He couldn't go forward because she was here. But the most important thing is that I remember my aunt, and I said to my aunt, I said one day, I said, geez, I'd like to have my dad come down and live with me. And she said to me, she says, is that what Willie wants to do? Or is that what you want? And I said, wow. I said, because the thing that we don't understand in life, and I have a saying that I say, I stay in my lane, don't cause no pain. And I have 4 grown children. My son lives in the streets. He's homeless. But he's chosen to live that way. Okay, when he calls, and if I can help him, I help him. But I cannot intercede into another human being's choices. Okay, and my children, all 3 of my daughters have got their master's degrees, all graduated from college, they all have careers, and I don't interfere in their lives. And they asked me a question, and I said, "Are you sure you want to hear my answer?" Okay, if you don't want to hear my answer, then don't ask me a question. But I stay this way, and what we don't do with people is we try to. It's a difference between guiding and directing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So.
Okay. And I'm in the business of guiding. But I can't tell a grown person what to do. And that's a fact. That's what I live my life on. I can't. If I see you going over there and it's not where you should be going, I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? That's not where you should be going. But you have to make that choice. Okay. But
it's very hard for a parent to
it's difficult.
Believe me.
But Willie and my mother gave me a foundation that made me so strong that I was able to overcome a whole lot of things. But my father was, but Willie and I didn't see him, but we talked almost daily until he passed away. Okay, and he had cancer, and I knew he had cancer, but he said, you know what, I'm okay. He said,
How old was he when he passed away?
89.
89, so 60, 65?
23, 89, so 23, 83 was 60, 89 was 67.
66, something like that. Then 95, my mother passed away. Okay, but we did talk, and we had some really strong conversations until he went. But he said, I'm okay. And I said, well, you know what? He wanted to come back to San Diego, and it was ironic that the two older brothers decided that they didn't want him to come back. And because I told him, I said, hey, you want to go back to San Diego? Because I knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to pass away in San Diego.
Oh.
And so I said, tell me what you want me to do, and I'll take care of it. But the his two older, the younger and the older, decided that, and it was so ironic. The morning they called me, I want you to listen to this. The morning they called me and said, well, we decided that Willie should come back to San Diego. And that afternoon he passed away.
Oh, come on.
Well, life is an interesting.
It's very interesting
journey.
And so this is what my uncles used to do. They used to have the dinner at the thing.
Yeah.
They would call me afterwards and say we went to the dinner.
Oh.
And I said, well, geez, did nobody say invite me? Okay, but this is family. This is how family things go.
Yeah, the politics.
Well, he was independent. He was an independent human being, and my grandfather, he would tell. This is a story related to me. My grandfather asked him when he was in high school. He says, "Why are you running and jumping? You should go and get your ass a job." Okay. Oh man! I mean, these are the things that I understand and made my life different. And the best thing Willie ever did for me in real life is that 1954, he moved me out of San Diego, and I never did realize why we went to Oakland, but I didn't realize that he had gone to San Jose State. But he got me out of a restricted environment for Black people to the Bay Area where we was nurtured. Oakland, Berkeley.
Much friendly.
It was a second culture. It was bicultural. We could go anywhere.
San Diego was not.
Oh man,
Almost segregated.
Oh, it's very, very. It still is.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's not overt things, but it like I explained to him in San Diego. Number one, you need to work. You can work for the military, the city, the county, or the state. Okay, you can't be an entrepreneur. Okay, because you know the people there are not going to be able to support you unless you in a white community. They're not going to support you.
If you're African American.
Yeah, no, you're not. I mean, unless you have an outstanding product.
Yeah.
Okay, but culturally, it's not going to happen.
I see.
It's not going to happen. I mean, and my father saw it. He was in Park and Recreation, and he worked out Central. Central playground is out there off of the street that who
with River High.
El Cajon, is that?
Oh sure, yeah, Southeast San Diego.
Yeah. He worked, and he used to tell me he used to shag balls for Ted Williams, but he was at that little park. That was his job, and I know that frustrated him. And you got to remember, he brings fame and recognition to a city. And he said to me, he says, and I can't even buy a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Okay? Because he's out there in East San Diego, that little area right there.
Yeah. Okay. The black part of town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was when I worked there in the 80s.
Yeah. And then we lived off of 33rd and Imperial over in that area.
Yeah.
But it was, I feel the angst. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I feel the angst, what do you think my father felt?
Sure, yeah. And here
that's why he moved north.
Yeah. That's I mean, it was just like I remember it was October. My father was gone. My mother sold the house. We got on the Greyhound bus and boom, we were in. First place we stopped at was Compton. I went to El Segundo Elementary School. And then from there, we went to Oakland, stayed at my aunt and uncle's house. Then went to Highland, and Then we went over to Oakland, and then I went to Cole Elementary School, and then my father was working at the infirmary. He got a job at working for the city of Park and Rec, working at the infirmary, and
For the city of Oakland.
city of Oakland, the infirmary, then Bush Rod. Yeah, so that's that's what he did. But
You see how shocking things come up, like what your grandfather told your father. That was, an interesting thing in how things work. Of course, for their family and that time, etc.
I call it the old Negro. See, back then, the old Negro was do as I say do. Okay, you don't go there. You don't do that. You do this. You don't do that. You do this. And my father broke the mold. And my two uncles, one worked for the park, one worked at
The ones that stayed in San Diego.
Manuel worked for the post office, retired from the post office, and Nathaniel worked at San Diego State. And they were, just to give you an example, okay? I joined the Marine Corps in 1944. I get out of boot camp, and I'm 20 years old, and I go back.
That was 64, yeah.
Back to San Diego, and I go spend. And I tell my dad I'm going down to see, and he said, "Okay." He said, "Be careful." And he said, out of the three uncles that I had was Manuel, Nathaniel, and Harold. And he said, well, stay close to Harold, okay? And Harold is his stepbrother, okay? But this is what I did. So I be respectful. I go to Manuel's house first and spend the night. And he says, think about this. I'm 20 years old. I'm in the Marine Corps. He says, you got to be in the house by 9:30. I said, okay, sir. So I go in the house. I'm in the house 9:30. And I did it. Then I go to Nathaniel's house. And he says, you got to be in the house by 10 o'clock. So I do that, okay? So I go spend the night at Harold's house. He gives me the key. You see. So
different types.
Different, and I understood. I was 20 years old, and I understood. Okay, I don't need to be with these guys. I don't need to be with these guys. Okay, and so I spent my time with my Uncle Harold. And my Uncle Harold is not my blood uncle. He's his step up.
How do you spell it? It's H-E-R.
H-O.
Harold. Is it H-R?
H-E-R.
H-A-R.
H-A-R.
There you go. Harold, yes.
A-R-O-D.
O-L-D.
O-L-D. Harold.
Harold.
Yeah, Harold.
And his name, his first name he was an S.P. And his mother changed the names. Lucille stayed. Yeah.
Changed it to Steele.
Yeah,
Okay.
The only one that did Lucille didn't change her name, but Fred changed his name. Did it like that. But that's when I learned. Then I started saying the difference of cousins. Okay, Manuel's son. I don't have a lot of. I call him, but we don't talk. We don't have conversation because he's just like his dad. So, but that's what blew everything apart. And so I stayed close to Harold until he and my aunt Dorothy. They used to babysit me when I was a little boy. And my mother was very smart. She didn't allow anybody to babysit me except for Harold and Dorothy. And she didn't let Manuel or Nathaniel babysit me before they got married. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, and what can I do? What can I do for you?
Well, I do what you do, and keep in touch. And if you have any information,
Definitely, I will.
And if you want to, if we can can we do a podcast? You in Rome, and we here?
Oh, sure.
Okay, well then we can do that.
I mean, whatever. I can do to help you in your interests.
It's just a matter of, your area where you're at over there. just my.
You can Zoom something or,
He's my.
use another platform. Whatever.
He's my technician, and he's
okay. So I'll get your name and your email.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming, Mario.
I mean, I appreciate you're having me. I mean, I perfectly understand your daughters that were concerned. I mean, this guy coming out from nowhere.
Here we have the jersey that my father wore when he jumped in the 1948 Olympics. And this is one of the shoes that was bronze that he competed in. Okay. And this is the gold medal that he won. And this right here is the medal with all the participants that were inducted into the Hall of Fame, the National Track and Field Hall of Fame in 2009. And this is the program that they had right here. And there is a video that tells about his experience at how he got drafted and everything like that, and history from the from here. I don't know how to get it, but you're a digital guy, you can get it.
Oh, that's a bit of news.
Yeah, this 2000, the 2009 inductee, and each one of these guys had a little video. Okay.
Those of you that are out there listening, subscribe to our page so that you can get the notifications of when we're going to record again.